Here's what the free-to-air news channels aren't telling you about the past weekend's marches around Australia. Can we just call a spade a spade? If you've allowed your good opinion to be formed by a 1 minute 30-second news story, then you are in for a shock, and you deserve to give your own credibility a better look at what happened over the last weekend before you award yourself a new Facebook banner for a well-informed Aussie. By the end of this video, you will have solid evidence to form your own opinion on who organised the march. Was the march racist? Was the march organised by Nazis? Who attended the march? Who instigated the violent acts against peaceful public participants and the police? You'll also get a taste of some of the booked speakers. You may not be aware that there are somewhere between 20 to 25 speakers at least across Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne marches. And some of them were pretty inspiring. And we must be very clear, these were booked speakers and none of the neo-Nazis were on the list of booked speakers. But let's call it from the outset and get it out of the way. Can someone arrest this guy already? Well, if you've asked yourself that question and you haven't seen the news, the bloke has been handcuffed by police and put in the back of the paddy wagon, and every common sense Australian is looking at that image of the neo-Nazi and saying, good news for Australia and Australians everywhere. And can we just appreciate the irony for the moment? The head of the neo-Nazis has hijacked the Premier's public press conference. And let's call it, that's pretty ironic. The Premier of Victoria now knows what it's like to have her public event hijacked by a neo-Nazi. And after the March for Australia on the weekend, now she knows what it feels like. I'm not sure if we should hold our breath waiting for her to come out and denounce her own press conference and call on herself to hold no more into the future now that she's platformed herself a neo-Nazi at her own press conferences. The irony is perfect. But let's be clear, the March for Australia event wasn't organised by neo-Nazis. Even the footage corroborates their claim, as we've seen. And in those open mic scenarios, or where the co-coordinator on the ground disappeared, then you've got a disorganised situation where the neo-Nazis step up to the open mic. But apart from that, let's be clear, the only march that the Nazi Thomas Sewell has ever organised is one earlier in the month, 2 a.m. in the morning, with the usual suspects of the Lost Boys that he had with him on the last weekend. And if you look at that footage, there aren't thousands marching behind this guy. That's what it looks like when neo-Nazis organise an event in Australia. The Lost Boys rock up, who got nowhere better to be at 2 a.m. That's their organisational capability, let's be very clear. And it was the same Lost Boy at the March for Australia event that people booed, that they had little to no friends there. If it's not clear to everyone, you don't go from organising an event at 2 a.m. in the morning where the Lost Boys rock up to organising an event where there are thousands upon thousands of ordinary Aussie Australians. That kind of capability doesn't just all of a sudden uptick in 2 weeks. No, if you've brought into that narrative, then you're buying into anything. Can we just focus on the Prime Minister and his government on the lead up to the March for Australia marches? He's come out publicly denouncing the event. He's had a series of ministers do open letter and media statements saying that it has no place in Australia. His Home Affairs Minister said that the Albanese stands against these events. And then you've got other ministers like Mr. Watt coming out and saying, we don't support rallies like this that are spreading hate that divide. Events organised by National Socialists, i.e. Nazis. Now, if you think that this is a legitimate and congruent statement by the Prime Minister and his government, you think they might have denounced another massive event that has a larger global platform. Well, has the Prime Minister and the ALP thought about issuing the same denouncement to ALP royalty? Former Premier Dan Andrews and Foreign Minister Bob Carr, who is an ex-Premier, ALP Premier himself, will be attending the Sino-Socialist public event that the Chinese are putting on. Xi Jinping, the dictator for life, they'll be standing shoulder to shoulder with Putin, with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, with Iran's prime ministers. And yet we hear crickets from the ALP government. Well, the Prime Minister and his government does seem to stand with such events of their own choosing. It just depends which side of the socialism stick that they fall on. It's absolutely outrageous. I mean, you denounce a socialist extremist event on one side, and then you say nothing about ALP royalty going across to a Sino-Socialist extreme event in China. Crickets. There's no denouncement of socialist extremists. It's clear the Albanese government doesn't stand against such events. So let's get started. Who organised the march? Well, if you haven't had a look yourself or jumped on socials, there was a lot of controversy around who was behind the marches, who was organising it. There seems to be, from what you can tell, the group organising the march was self-named the March for Australia group. At some point, there were concerns that a neo-Nazi group was declaring that they were going to attend and were using language that seemed like they were either co-opting or they had created the event themselves. The March for Australia group came out with a very strong statement, which they make the statement around recent claims by various groups, being neo-Nazis, are claiming that, and it calls out specifically the Thomas Sewell, the guy who's in the back of the paddy wagon now, of White Australia, are not reflective of the organisers nor the politics for the March for Australia. And then they also go on to say that they're not associated with Jews or Palestinian movement or Israeli, all that kind of thing. And they go on to invite and say, hey, we're inviting common sense Aussies, as you can read there. And they say any attempts to hijack the march for other issues or to make it about one group is not in the spirit of the movement. And they stress to assemble peacefully. So that's all well and good to post that up. Does the footage bear this out? The statement that's made online, what happened at the events? Well, the 9+ hours that was live streamed by well-known individuals who have a big profile across Australia in these protests, peaceful protest movements for the future of Australia. In those footage, you can see clearly patterns that would seem to indicate that this post is an accurate reflection of how it was. In Brisbane and Sydney, it's very clear through the live streams that there were booked speakers, the individuals who were emceeing on stage, or that are referred to online and in all the different threads that you see about the marches as co-coordinators. So there was March for Australia group organising at the top level, but then there were co-coordinators locally. And in Brisbane and Sydney, you had booked speakers who had the mic. Brisbane did not allow any open mic. So in Brisbane, the booked speakers, none of them were neo-Nazis. In Sydney, the booked speakers, again, were not neo-Nazis. However, they did have an open mic moment, which is crazy. Why would you do an open mic? What more could individuals say after your booked speakers, who were very eloquent? And one of the speeches made by a barrister who presents in front of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, he's a former Royal military man, made one of the most inspiring speeches I've ever heard. Outside of that, don't have an open mic. And at that point, that's where you've got footage of neo-Nazis in Sydney's grabbing the mic for an open mic. And eventually, what you see through the live stream footage is the crowd booing, the crowd also just walking away while it becomes clear it's an open mic now. Neo-Nazis got the mic and the crowd starts to disperse. Again, reinforcing the post that March for Australia made. Now, Melbourne is a totally different beast. It seems that the co-coordinators on the ground that were supposed to be the co-coordinators there pulled out last minute, didn't show up. And that is the march where if you watch the live stream of Rukshan and Ravi, you can see that where the march sort of congregates, there are neo-Nazis there. When Ravi, who is very well known, has a significant profile, and Rukshan amongst the pro-Australian movement of the protests we've seen over the last 5 years, the neo-Nazis get angry at him and try to throw him out and get quite violent. And this plays out for the Melbourne March. Is any of the violence that you see, which we'll dip into, is around the between the Nazis and the pro-Palestinian marchers, not the average thousands upon thousands of average Aussies that were marching right across the nation. So the post from March Australia seems to play out that it's not organised by neo-Nazis. The organisers distance themselves from it, and they certainly are not booked to speak. Melbourne organisers don't show up, and that's where we've got the main footage. Over 9+ hours of live streaming across Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. There were plenty of other marches right across the nation, but those are the ones that have the solid live streams by individuals that are well known to the Protest Australia or March for Australia and the wider movement. Now, I know most of you aren't going to watch the 9 hours of the live stream content, but have no fear, I've done it for you. So let's get started. We must give some honourable mentions when we talk about the media and the March for Australia in the past weekend. If you didn't catch any of the interviews of the Daily Mail, they had up to about 10 minutes of pure interviews at one of the March locations, which might have been interspersed with a few more. We're going to introduce that to you now. It's with the links of the raw footage of not just the Daily Mail's footage, but the plus 9 hours of the 3 live streamers that were filming at each location. And we're going to look at those interviews now to lay the foundation to answer the question once and for all, was the march racist? And a second question of what kind of people attended these marches?
A couple of weeks, and I've come here today to show my support for Australia.
We just want to keep Australia in Australia.
Exactly. Okay, interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't care who comes here, but stay Australian.
Yeah.
Keep Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not here to hurt anyone. We're not here to start anything. We just want to keep Australia Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I mean, the Chinese warships 200 kilometres away that he didn't tell anyone about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, you've got to start questioning. He went over to China to do what? Cuddle some pandas, but didn't ask any questions about the main issues we've got going on here. You know, like the ports. Even asked a question about the ports alone. My grandfather was a POW in Changi. This is the best thing I can do for a country is go for a walk through this beautiful city. That's why we're here.
So many in this country, why? Why? And everybody is silent. We can't be silent anymore.
Definitely not.
No.
I agree with you.
One nation is only one option for us to survive in this country. Only one nation. One nation.
We need the people to stand up. Believe in an honest Australia. We don't have honest Australia, there's nothing left. Nothing left to fight for.
Destroying this beautiful country.
I hope that you all join
everything
us
from us.
in this beautiful march.
He needs to go.
I'm here because I believe that Australia should have a 5-year immigration pause. Total pause. Not picking on any particular group, no one can come. Might be 1 or 2 little exceptions, but we have a 5-year pause, and then people say, oh, that'll hurt the economy. And I say, well, look, I don't think Australia is that stupid and that weak that we need to bring in new people to pump up the economy. What we should do is abolish half of the government and have a 5-year immigration pause, and the country will completely boom. So that's why we're here today.
In Melbourne, counter-protesters clashed with anti-immigration demonstrators. One group of counter-protesters was even seen burning the Australian flag. That's when the chaos really kicked off. Cameras captured members of the neo-Nazi group, the National Socialist Network, or NSN, surrounding YouTuber Avi Yemeni after he called them out as the Nazis during a live stream. They were filmed assaulting his security team and demanding he leave the march.
So if we're going to answer, was the march organised by National Socialists, i.e. Nazis? Well, first of all, there were no Nazis reported at any other location. We've got our other locations. You can see them here: Canberra, Darwin, Hobart, Townsville, Cairns, Albury, Wodonga, Bundaberg, Newcastle, Gladstone, Echuca, Yeppoon, if I got that right, sorry, Echuca Corroborates, Rockhampton. No neo-Nazis. Now, if this was an organised neo-Nazi march, we'd expect National Socialists to be at every location in black, decked out, saying all the things that, I don't know, I'm not sure what it is that they say. That's not the case. So, the next question is then, at these major locations like Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, what exactly was the context of their presence and what happened and how did the crowd respond? Let's have a look at Adelaide. Here in Adelaide, you clearly see the NSN gets up uninvited, not a book speaker, and the crowd ends up booing him. He looks a little bit deer in the headlights, like he's going to run off the stage, but eventually gets pushed off the stage by the event organizer. And you can see that the individuals in yellow shirts, or yellow vests, the police also have yellow on their vests, but the organised monitors that are in the yellow vests are working with police to get them out of there. Doesn't look like a National Socialist organised event. March for Australia in Adelaide, definitely not organised by the NSN. So let's take a look at Brisbane. Now, Brisbane was the event that had no open mic. So there was no National Socialists making a speech from stage. Very clever, makes sense. Don't have an open mic. They had book speakers that spoke on Australia, on freedom, on a whole range of things, well-regarded individuals and some people that weren't known from far distant towns. It was inspiring and lovely by all accounts, but not hijacked. Have a listen to the local coordinator, who he was, a bit about him. Not a National Socialist, an owner of a building group in Brisbane, and a regular on 4BC Radio Brisbane. Have a listen to this.
This weekend we'll see a March for Australia take to the streets of the CBD in Brisbane and indeed around the country. And I've said this week, I believe a majority of the people who want to attend this march will have reasonable reasons for attending. So far, organisers of the march have kept a pretty low profile. Maybe they don't want to make it about themselves, I don't know. And some say that there are links to some pretty ordinary, nefarious kind of groups. But I've got to say, this bloke is somebody who I count as a common sense Australian. He's joining me in the studio. He's one of the organisers, a regular voice on this show, Scott Challen. He runs the Brisbane-based home renovator, the QHI group. And Scott, you're the first person that's actually put their head up and said, I'm helping to organise this. What's your core grievance? Why do you want to do this?
Well, I think you've had me on enough times now, Gary, and heard me whinge and whine about what we see happening in the country with regards to the building industry in particular. I think that you reach a point where you go, well, I can keep talking about it, or I can also take some action here. And there was a void to fill with regards to this March for Australia. And I, in discussion with some of the organisers who reached out to me, went, this is a great place to keep the argument in the sensible centre where it should be, to stay away from identity, and let's talk about ideas. Proper debate about what Australia should look like, what we're evolving towards, and how we get there, what's the best way to do it. We threw the doors open after COVID with very little forethought with regards to how we were going to service all these people coming in, the infrastructure, for example, how we were going to build what we need. Now we've got the Olympics looming at us in Queensland here, as you know. and people are justifiably concerned.
Not a National Socialist, not an extremist, but a common sense, level-headed, wanting to give some ground for the centre in these marches. Let's look at the Brisbane location.
Australians, as some of the most generous people in the world, is we want to be able to continue to be generous to the nations outside of here that need our help, but we have to fill our own cups first. We have to look after ourselves first. We are not able to have homeless people that are taking their kids to school when we're sending money overseas. It's not good.
You know, all you people just sitting back at home and mocking what's going on, you're actually all welcome to come. You know, come to the next one. They're good people.
God bless Australia. Thanks for coming. Rob singing the national anthem, leading us out. That is the end of the official speeches. The official speeches. Anything else that comes after this isn't from us.
So here we are with the leader of the the leader of the Mackay resistance. What's your name?
Teen. My name's Teen, yes, and I've been heading up the Worldwide Rally for Freedom Mackay for over 2 years now.
Yeah.
We haven't missed a Saturday here since July 2020. We won't give up. Our numbers have grown. We've become more well known. So I used to say to my mum when I was a kid, Mum, something's got to give. This whole thing is going to crash. We can't keep going like this. I don't know what I saw. I just knew we couldn't keep going like that. But
So society was unsustainable.
yes, it was unsustainable, totally, the whole system.
The NSN showed up, half a dozen of them in black shirts with probably 20 or 30 undercover guys in the crowd. They were literally shouted down every time they tried to speak.
Fair income, that looks like one of my neighbours. That looks like my grandma. These are average Australians that you're passing in the food store, that your intuitive, quick analysis would go, this person's safe when you're walking through the aisle. These are not racist people by their own mouths and by their own reasons for being there. Let's take a look at who attended the Sydney event.
Notice some of your marshals moving around trying to just calm some people down. Tell us about that, what you're trying to marshal.
What are we trying to marshal? Any violence, any aggression, that's all really. And any foreign flags, because as I stated, no foreign flags allowed. This is about Australia and Australia only. Aboriginal flags are allowed.
Because I love Australia, because I feel that Australia is one of the democracies in the world that is under threat from a number of different forces. Any kind of fundamentalism, whether it's religious or political, is a threat to every single person that believes in democracy and believes in tolerance and respect. And I believe that democracy all through history has been a fragile flower that needs to be guarded and respected and cared for, and that is why I'm here today.
Beck, what just happened there?
None of the cops are talking to me. They're all ignoring me. I wanted to march all together, obviously, with the banner. Yeah, they just took off.
The guy at the front with the megaphone, he said, I'm not an organiser, I'm just an ordinary Australian. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
I mean, that's cool, but that can cause problems, yeah? Because then we have people running out everywhere. We need to keep everyone together to keep everyone safe.
First few hundred metres was led by black shirts there.
I did not know that was going to happen. I'm pissed off about that. Everyone that was with me can vouch for that. I was angry. That was not meant to happen. It was meant to be held by marshals, and that's it.
One of the more loosely organised marches I've been to, but it's quiet. Make Albo go away. Tell us, why have you come?
To make Albo go away. To change what's happening in this country. Things have to change, and if people don't get off their hands and stand up for Australia, put the flag in their homes, in their windows, in their shops, and stop the immigration, fix up the power, fix up the petrol, the price of food, this country's going to be gone before we know it.
Who did you volunteer for at the election?
Volunteered for no one, never been to a rally before in my life.
The culture, the heritage, and our commonwealth that was bequeathed to us. It cannot be our generation that fails. We must march for Australia. The Governor-General must be nominated by the people. The Governor-General must be chosen by the people. That is how we will reclaim representative government. That is how we will reclaim the resources of the Commonwealth. That is the way the true blue Australians will be able to reclaim our destiny.
All right, we're going to open it up for an open mic. Probably, I think, 5 speakers tops, and just try to keep it short and sweet, just so it doesn't drag on for too long. Thanks, guys. All right, so if you just want to come around, just come up.
Lost us in the mark.
Go home! You men in black, go home! We are not racist! We are not a racist nation!
You've lost us! You've lost us!
All Australians! All Australians! Not just white Australians!
We love all of you. We're not racist at all. We love every one of you.
Okay, this is it.
We're here to say the truth about why we're protesting, and these guys are not representing what we think.
The fucking Nazi group ruined it.
Yeah,
that was good before that. That's why everyone's leaving now. No one stands for that.
We stand for everyone, not just a few people, you know? That's
The
racist.
extremists ruined it for everyone. That's what happens.
Oh, this is it. Wow. Oh, that's killed it. Absolutely killed it. This has absolutely killed it. Look at that.
The media's gonna pay that.
Absolutely killed it.
I would love everyone.
Be good to the flag, be good to the people.
Well, there seems like a common theme that is corroborating across the Brisbane and the Sydney event. But let's go to the controversial location of Melbourne and get a feel for, was this any different? Melbourne is the outlier of the locations where the local co-coordinator pulled the pin, didn't rock up on the day, and backed away from the whole event, which left a massive gap, which is why you see people congregating and no one knowing what to do. You can wonder why, but let's have a look who attended this rally.
Anybody here attacked you for your skin colour?
Surprisingly, we had a lot of love everywhere.
Well done.
Put a message out to the public. This isn't about racism. We just want change. You come to this country, you respect the flag, you don't burn it, yeah? You respect the ground, you respect the heritage. You either adopt it and be a part of it or fuck off. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
This is the location that has the most controversy around it, and let's get a feel for the violence of people being arrested.
How you doing, sir? Are you okay? Harvey. What's happened?
The pro-Palestine people did this to him. They think they're innocent. Look what they did to this innocent man.
Have police arrested the person responsible?
No, but
those fringe neo-Nazis were despised by almost everyone there yesterday. In fact, after the police allowed them into the rally without even following them, they bashed their way through the crowd who didn't want them there.
Avi Yemeni and his team. You see, Yemeni actually confronted these neo-Nazis and was abused for being a Jew.
Child killer! Man, child killer!
You literally support Hitler. You guys look like and say the same chants as the guys on the other side. You should just join Antifa.
Some of those ratbags, most in black, attacked Yemeni's security guards and later also fought with counter-protesters who tried to stop the march. And after the march, some of these thugs, led by Thomas Sewell, attacked Aborigines at Camp Sovereignty. These guys are scum. Some of the worst violence and hate at the march yesterday came from pro-Palestinian hard-left protesters who attacked the pro-Australia marchers, like the two men arrested in Sydney for assaulting police, or the counter-protesters who ripped away the Australian flags of marchers and even burned our flag, or the ones that police had to disperse with flashbangs and rubber bullets to stop them attacking people.
Oh, what happened to the lefties? Kafir on too tight. Let's go.
They've been sprayed.
They've been sprayed. Must have been those peaceful protesters.
Yeah.
But most of the marches I saw in Yemeni's hours of coverage, in fact, I think about all of them, were against them.
Nazi scumbags do not represent us.
The racists are here trying to hijack the march. It's nothing to do with, none of us are racist. We welcome everyone, as long as you have true Australian values.
What's going on? Why are you guys, who's talking up there? Hey, man.
Tell us, we want to hear about it.
Yeah, so Thomas Sewell took the stage, he started talking, a lot of people booed him, and you can now see a lot of people leaving, so hopefully the media captures that to let everyone know that not everybody is a supporter of racism and mass deportations and criminality of just coming from another race.
So just so we're, for the viewers, we're live. We've been walking around the crowd. We can see that 99.5% of people here don't support that group. But you were there, so you're saying as he took the crowd, the stage,
a lot of people booed. A lot of people expressed their disgust, and now they're leaving.
So many people don't even know who he is, and they asked questions, and they were like, "We can't be associated with the Nazis." It's like it is such a beautiful march, just been taken over, and it's very sad. I'm an immigrant myself. I'm a citizen.
Oh, they attacked Rukshan. They attacked me.
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah,
it's terrible.
Over, but yeah.
Like I am against mass immigration. Everyone knows that. This is not the way. We can't let Nazis take over.
They're hijacking it though. It's clear when you look at the crowd, and I think it's important, guys at home. That's why it's important to share the live so people can actually see what the vast majority of the crowd is. There are two groups causing trouble in the city today. It's the far left, the pro-Palestine, anti-Australia group, and it is the neo-Nazis, which ironically share so much in common.
Where's the Nazis?
The Nazis are speaking. The rest of the people, the majority here, are peaceful, Australia-loving people. Regular Aussies that just want a better country. So make sure to share the stream so people get to see the truth.
Who organised the march? Was the march racist? Was the march organised by Nazis? Who attended the march? Who instigated the violent acts against peaceful public participants and the police? Form your own opinion. You have solid evidence.